What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Underrated Conversations. I really appreciate the love I got on episode 1. And do me a favor, before we get into this one, do me a favor and like and subscribe for me. I really appreciate that. So what are we talking about today? What are we talking about? Episode 2, the title is Self-Sabotage, because honestly, we have a lot of it all the time, every day, every second of the day. There is somebody out there self-sabotaging themselves. And a lot of times, you don't even know you're doing it until either somebody else maybe calls you out on it, or it really takes a deep look in the mirror, like really looking at yourself in the mirror and being 100% real with yourself, right? And that's something I've done plenty of times, right? It's not something that you do once. Sometimes you have to revisit and even be more honest with yourself, right? It's all about being brutally honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, one person you can never lie to is yourself. You always know what the deal is, right? So what do I mean exactly by self-sabotage? Well, specifically, in what I do, there is a lot of, it's very individual, right? Everything we do in terms of trading, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of business, everything is very individual when it comes to, you decide how hard you work. You decide, how locked in you're going to be every day. You decide, what goes on. You decide everything, right? As an entrepreneur, you are your own boss, but that also means that you have to create your own structure, values, morals, and all of that stuff. And where the self-sabotaging comes in is in exactly that, right? How you view things, how you talk to yourself, right? Are you going into every day with a plan? Are you going to every day with a certain list of things that you're going to accomplish, right? Are you going to do things at a high level, or are you just going to do them just to get them done, right? Are you going to do them to rush, right? A lot of the self-sabotaging comes from instant gratification, right? A lot of people want things very quickly, right? With me, I'm in an industry where trading, you post profits a lot. You see what other people are doing a lot, and a lot of people feel entitled to that quick success as well, that instant gratification. That's what they want. They see you doing it and they're like, yo, if he's doing it like that, I should be able to do it like that. And so they automatically feel entitled to success, which is a really weird thing in this, like in this day and age. A lot of people are like super entitled to success, right? You wouldn't believe how many DMs I get, right? I may post profits or something, myself or somebody else who's been doing it for a while. Maybe they don't know they've been doing it for a while, whatever. But they'll see somebody else, or they'll see me post profits, and they'll be like, yo, man, how come I can't do this, man? I've been trading for a month and I haven't seen any gains yet. I'd be like, well, you got to put in the work, man. It's not easy to do, what myself or other great traders are doing. And that instant gratification thing has people feeling entitled to success they haven't worked for. And that goes into what we talked about last episode in terms of comparing, right? You looking at what somebody else is doing, and then you want to do it like them because you feel like, at least from your perspective, they're doing it at a really high level. So that's what you want to do immediately. And I think that's a really great way to self-sabotage, because let me tell you what that does, right? When you have a feeling of entitlement when it comes to success and you're not getting that success, you automatically go into a few different things, right? You start doing too many things. You hop around a lot. Oh, this isn't working, I'm going to go to something else. This isn't working, I'm going to go to something else. This isn't working, I'm going to go to something else. And then you go into, not being consistent in anything, right? So you're hopping around doing all these things because you're not really seeing the success you want in anything you're doing, right? And a part of the reason that is because you're not consistent with anything, right? You're not consistent with, maybe one thing, two, thing three, right? But you want great results. And then on top of that, at the same time, while you're trying to hustle, while you're trying to, I guess, whatever success is like to you, that's what you're chasing. You actually go into a lot of comparison, right? You're comparing what other people are doing to yourself. And then if you're not doing it at the level you want to do it at, you start moving on to different things, different industries, right? For example, what do I mean by that? And I use myself as an example. When I started, when I first started being trying to be an entrepreneur, one of the first things I did was, try to create an online store, right? I didn't get the success I wanted to within the first couple weeks. So I moved on and I went to Forex. And then I was like, you know what? Forex looks pretty cool. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into it a little more. And then that wasn't really working out a lot. And then, I moved on to, real estate. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try to get into the real estate thing. And then I saw other people getting all these deals, whatever, doing it big. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm very far away from that. Or maybe, he's my age, but we're on two different levels. I'm going to move on to something else. And then it wasn't until I got to the stock market that I still faced a lot of trouble when it came to actually getting better at the craft, really, really honing into the craft of, the markets and really studying charts, patterns, and all the stuff that goes into trading in the stock market. And that was the first thing I was really consistent at. I was really, really, really consistent with that. I saw a really great reward out of that because of that consistency, because I didn't try to do too much. I stopped hopping around everywhere in all different kind of fields, and I honed in on one thing. And I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up. They want to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none, right? You can be good at a lot of things, but what are you going to be known for? What are you really going to be? What is going to be your thing? You know what I mean? Everybody needs a thing. And I like to use basketball as an example because you guys know I used to hoop in college and stuff. So it's always what my mind reverts to because there's so many lessons you learn in college sports, man. There's so many lessons you learn in college sports. For example, me and my uncle used to train, and he used to tell me, he said, yo, Isaac, look at the best players in the world. Right? You look at Steph Curry. What is he known for? Right? Steph Curry is known for being a shooter. He is a shooter, right? That is his specialty. He's a specialist, right? 3-point specialist. Look at look at Klay Thompson. He is a specialist 3-point shooter. You can look at Drew Holiday. He is a defender. That's where he specializes. That doesn't mean he's not good at other things, but that's where he specializes, right? He specializes in defending. You look at, Anthony Davis. He's a shot blocker, right? He is a shot blocker. Rudy Gobert, he's a shot blocker. That is what he does. That is his specialty. And then, once they have their specialty, then they branch out into other things to become more well-rounded, but they can't become well-rounded before they have a specialty first. So that's how I kind of went into entrepreneurship. I had to kind of have a sit down with myself and be like, yo, you're kind of doing too much right now. You're trying to do real estate. You're trying to do stocks. You're trying to do, online business. You're trying to do physical brand. You're trying to do a online brand. Like what are you like? Yo, you're doing way too much right now. You could put a piece of the puzzle together in each different industry, but you'll never actually complete a puzzle because you're trying to do 5 or 6 at the same time. Choose one. I had a really good opportunity to speak to a guy named Thatch. Right, he is a multi-millionaire real estate investor. Dude is he is awesome. One of the most genuine people I've ever been able to talk to, as well as you can just see him on Instagram. His name is Thatch. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try and disrespect his name like that. But he's a real estate investor. That's what he does: fix and flips, rentals, and all that good stuff, right? Wholesaling, all that stuff. And you guys know me. I'm heavy in the stock market, and I bought his program. It was like $3-4K, something like that, because I wanted to get in real estate as well. And he asked me, he said, yo, so what are you doing? You're in school right now? I was like, yeah, I'm at Howard. This was back when I was at Howard. I was like, yeah, I'm at Howard. I trade in the stock market primarily. That's like my thing. But I'm trying to get in real estate. He said, Isaac, let me tell you something. What you need to do is you need to focus on one thing. If you're going to play basketball, play basketball. If you're going to be in the market, stock market, be in the stock market. If you're going to be in real estate, be in real estate. But one thing that I can never advise you to do, especially in this stage of your life, because you're a young man, you need to make sure that you have both feet in whatever you're doing, right? And he said that, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Because, I was still, even now, I'm trying to become a master of the stock market, which is a very hard thing to do for anybody, right? There's only a few people that you can really say that are masters of the market, masters of the craft. There's not many. But, like I said, even now I'm trying to become a master of the market. And here I am trying to also dip my toe in real estate, right? When I could be doing so much more doing so much more learning and really honing in on my craft in the stock market. And when he said that, it just took me back to what my uncle used to tell me. What's going to be a specialty, Isaac? Like, there's only there's only one LeBron James, right? Shoot, pass, playmaking, defending, right? Leader, coachable, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, I don't know if LeBron's coachable. Don't quote me on that. But, right, there's only a few, Russell Westbrooks, triple-double machine, right? There's only a few of those guys. There's not many of those guys who could just come into the league or do what they do and then be elite in so many different categories. But, and it's not to say that I'll never be able to get in real estate or online brand, physical brand, all that kind of stuff. But it's only to say, like, look, I need to be very, very consistent or I need to have 2 feet in whatever I'm doing, which is right now or at the time, whatever, the stock market. And that's where I think that self-sabotage comes in, man. Like, really, a lot of people, if they aren't successful as soon as they start doing something, they automatically start trying to be, I'm going to be diverse. I'm going to try to get in everything else. Or, I'm not going to be very consistent with this because it isn't working right now, right? There's so many excuses. There's so many things, right? But honestly, if you want to be like in anything, but if you really want to be great at it, like, you have to be willing to go through the growth, right? The growing process. And growth is always uncomfortable. It's always super uncomfortable. And I know that, like I said, guys, I'm never going to talk about anything I haven't personally experienced or I haven't been educated on by a mentor or some type of schooling, right? Growth is so uncomfortable all the time, right? It makes me want to quit. It makes me want to, second guess why I'm doing this. It makes me want to give up, right? It just makes me want to just do something else, right? How about I tap into another industry or tap into another field? But growth, I think personally, and it's something I have to really come to terms with, growth will always be uncomfortable, but my approach can be completely different, right? A lot of people approach growth with frustration, complaints, whining, right? Why can I get this right? Or why can I get this right? Why can I do this? Why is this happening? Right? But what if you were able to approach growth and be like, okay, why am I going through this? What lesson do I need to learn right now that will help boost me into the next level? Because I can't get to where I want to go by doing what I did to get to this level, right? Like where I am right now. There has to be something else I need to add to my game. There has to be something else I need to perfect in order for me to get to level, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? And I think the mental approach is where most people, it's like a fork in the road, right? You can either go this way or you can either go, this way. Like for some people, right? I'll use the stock market as an example because that's what I do. And I've been blessed to be able to come in contact with a ton of literally thousands of people, and everybody has a different approach, but there's always 2 groups of people, even though approaches are always rather different. There's either the person that comes into the market, sees, they may see good results at first or not, but they get to a point, everybody gets to a point where, okay, I either go left and, everything bad is happening to me. Things aren't going the way I want them to go. Things are getting difficult. I don't know what to do anymore, right? You either go that way or you go, okay, what do I need to do to get better? All right, I have trouble right here. What is it that I'm supposed to, perfect before I can move on to the next level here, right? How your mental approach is going to be everything. And I say that because, man, if your mental is messed up, the way you operate on a day-to-day basis is crucial, right? If your mental is messed up, you're not going to be able to get much done. You're going to be in your head a lot. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to find distractions very easily. But when you're locked in, it's completely different. You know your goals. You're structured. You have a schedule. You have a to-do list. You have things that you know that need to be in order because you're hungry. You're passionate about whatever you're doing. You know that this is necessary. This is a necessary thing that must be done for me to eventually get what I want to get out of this or life or whatever it is. And that's something that I struggled with a lot. I think I've done a lot better at approaching things in a way where I can face adversity and still get past it. I'm still human. Every now and then I get caught in this little rabbit hole, but you got to dig yourself out and keep going, right? There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs, lows. But how you respond is everything. How you respond mentally. Because if you're not locked in mentally, you're not going to be locked in physically either. And one of the ways that I help, my mental is by I consume the right things. I don't hang around a bunch of complainers. I read a lot of books, right? In terms of not to sound cliche, but I read a lot of books specifically that specialize in like the mind, right? Like you've heard me say it last episode, David Goggins. He has a wonderful book called Can't Hurt Me. I like a book called Compounding Effect, right? Or The Compound Effect, excuse me. It's called The Compound Effect. I like a book called Atomic Habits, right? Those are 3 really good books in my opinion. I'm sure there's many more that I could name out here, but those are 3 really good books that have helped me approach life in a very, very, I guess, very beneficial way. And the reason why I say the reading part is important because for me, I didn't really have a mentor, right? Not excluding like my uncles or my mom, I didn't really have a non-family mentor, or I've never had one. So one way that I found mentorship is by, you see all these social media icons, right? Like David Goggins, I keep mentioning him, but he's one of them, right? You start to see people that you really look up to. And the way, in my opinion, you get that mentorship is by reading what they produce, right? They got books out. I'm going to read those books, right? They got books on how they do what they do. I'm going to read those books because, if I can't personally get that mentorship from them, I can at least see and really understand what they have to say, right? You read somebody's book, you're really picking their brain, right? Because they're spilling it all out there. Yeah, people don't just write books to write books, especially not the people I look up to, right? They write books for a purpose. And I feel like if you want that mentorship, if you want to know how a certain person got to where they are right now, then the best thing you can do is try to consume as much information from them as possible. And I almost want to say that it's better to even read the book than it is to like listen to one of their podcasts sometimes. Cause I feel like reading the book is just, it feels much more personal, right? When people write a book, at least the books I've read, on these certain topics, it's almost like that person is talking directly to me. So I'm able to really, really, I'm really able to take more from it, right? It doesn't feel as like a general thing. It feels like I'm talking to this person one-on-one, or I'm really listening and they're just giving me a lot of information. That's why I like reading the book so much. But yeah, just to spin back, self-sabotage, right? Instant gratification, not being consistent in terms of effort, not being consistent in terms of consistently fighting whatever it is you're struggling with, right? In whatever industry you're in. Like, for example, traders, everybody, I don't care who you are, you're going to hit a block where you're like, okay, there's something here that I just can't get past this hump. I don't know what it is, but I can't get past it. Your job in terms of, if you're somebody who doesn't want to self-sabotage, you're going to wake up every day and keep fighting whatever that hump is, right? Whatever that block of adversity is, you're going to wake up and keep fighting that consistently, because you're going to want to figure out, what do I need to do to get past this level? Right. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. A lot of people give up. They blame other people. They don't have any accountability. And, the results they get are the results they get. Don't be entitled to success. Right. Don't be entitled to success, man. Earn it. I thought a couple times, I've had a couple thoughts where I was like, man, why can't I just fall into like $1 million? Right. Like, what if I won the lottery? I go to the casino and I'm like, yo, what if I can really hit it big real quick? Like right now, what if, I'll put a bet on, what if I can make a lot of money right now? You know what I mean? And I think about it, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, so deep or whatever, but honestly, at this point, I put in so much work that I really want to earn it myself. Like that really big win, the biggest day I've ever had in the market was 66K. 66, had 50 something, a couple 57, 55, a couple times. 66K is my best day in the market. When I really hit that first 100K day or 150K, 200, 250K, I don't want it to be because it was given to me, right? I really want to earn it, right? When you work so hard for something and you get to a certain point where, you value the results of your work so much that you would rather not be given anything, right? I don't want to be cut a big break. I want whatever I get to be because I earned it, right? I've never been given anything in my entire life, like nothing. Everything I've ever gotten was because I earned it. And, I love this Nipsey Hussle quote, where he talks about, when you look back on where you started and where you are now, you are closer to the end line, to where you want to be, than you were when you started, right? If you were to turn back now, you'd be so far from where you started from that you might as well just keep on going. And that's where I feel like, every time I hit some adversity, that's the thought I get in my head. I am so far away from where I started. It would just be worthwhile just to keep on going forward, right? And that's how I approach a lot of things, man. For me, everything's mental. It's always mental. Your mental approach, how you think about things, how you process things, how you process adversity. How are you measuring the success of your own journey? Are you comparing stories, right? I used to have a problem with comparing myself to a lot of people. And the crazy part is, the only people I've ever compared myself to are people that are older than me, right? Even if they're in their 20s, like I am, I'm 22. But the people I've compared myself to, like 27 through like 35, 38, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm not even their age yet, right? If I'm going to compare stories, at least have some perspective, right? Don't compare stories and be like, yo, let me use like Chris Johnson for an example. Chris is like, I don't know, he's like mid-30s, I think. Chris is mid-30s. I'm 22. Like, how stupid would it be for me to be like, yo, I'm going to compare myself to Chris? Why Chris is in the stock market too. Why am I not getting gains like he is? We're in two very different places, right? He has knowledge, he has experience, right? He's created multiple successful businesses, right? And I'm, college dropout, been very, I would say pretty successful so far. But even so, we have two very different stories. He's older than me. He's more experienced, right? He's put in the work to get there, to get where he is. It's not just an age thing, but he's put in the work to get to where he is. And yes, he's older than me, so obviously he's put in more work than I have. But that's the kind of stuff that at least has some perspective on. I think there's a fine difference between looking up to somebody and then really feeling entitled to what they have because I guess you feel like you're working hard. In reality, you don't really know what people have been through. You don't know the work people have put in to get what they have. For me, like I had somebody say, to me a while ago, they're like, man, that's easy to say. I said something about the market, and they said, well, it's easy for you because you have a bunch of money. And I was like, dude, do you know how I started? I had $150. I did Uber Eats. I did Instacart. I put $150 in the market, and I really grinded it out. Did a lot of losing, did a lot of learning, and was able to work my way up, right? And create, blueprint, something I take a lot of pride in, and continue to grow, continue to give back to people who seek the knowledge, and keep it pushing, right? That's where I started though. Like nobody really sees the Instacart, the Uber Eats, the long hours doing that, right? I was really grinding. I'm talking about 6, 7 hours, right? I usually get up at like around noon for Instacart, and a lot of times I go to 7, 8 p.m. And that was after I left the gym in the morning because like I was still playing college ball, so I was putting in a lot of hours. I would say on average probably like 5 hours a day, 5.5 hours a day. But I did have those 7, 8 hour days just doing Instacart and Uber Eats, right? Trying to put money in my pocket because, like I said, I earned everything. My mother, she never really gave me money, right? Clothes, shoes, food, I was straight, don't get me wrong, but giving me money is something she never did. She said, if you want money, you have to go earn it. And I'm glad she did that because that made me the way I am today. But there's no, you got to earn it. So nobody sees that part, right? Just like for example, there's another guy, Q Banks, right? I really like Q Banks. I really like him. He's a really solid dude. From what I've never met him personally, but from what I see, he's a really solid guy. But you look at his story, right? He did, he was working at Target. He was working at Target 2015. Don't quote me on that. 2014, 2015. And this is just based off what he's posted on Instagram. He and a couple of interviews I watched him do, but worked at Target 2015, got into Forex. He was making $22 days, $30 days, Forex 2015. 2016, he started having a couple $1,000 days. 2017, couple 100,000, right, and it kept going, right. And I don't know if that's the correct timeline in terms of the jumps, but I know for a fact, based on what he's posted, 2015 he posted on Instagram a $22 day, and then 2020 he's posting $1 million day, right, or 2019 or 2020 or 2021 he's posting $1 million day, and he's in Forex. He trades, he's in the Forex markets primarily, but that goes to show. But nobody really saw the hours he put in, right. And I'm not claiming to know the hours he put in, but, from what he said and just the level of success he's had, it's not something you can just walk into. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, man, that entitlement to success and not really understanding what it really means to work, to really, put hours into something. And that lack of perspective is ultimately what I call self-sabotage, because that perspective will sabotage whatever you were trying to accomplish in life. And like I said, I can only speak from experience because I used to self-sabotage as well. But I had to, be real with myself, have some perspective. Come on, dude. Like, why are you comparing yourself to people who have started way before you, right? You could look up to them. You could aspire to one day reach that level, right? But you can't, want to be them tomorrow. Like, that's disrespect. That's very, in my opinion, that's disrespectful to think that to think that anybody could wake up one morning, decide they want to get into a certain industry, and then want to do it like the best do it, right? You got to put in some work. Even if there are people your age doing it big, your own race, right? Worry about your own race, cut your own grass, mind your own pockets, mind your own business, right? Because you could aspire, or you could be inspired. You could see it as motivation, but like I said, entitlement to success is very dangerous. It's very dangerous, and in my opinion, it's probably the number one cause of people not being successful, because they feel entitled to the success. Think about it. And I think it's honestly is, at least for this generation, it's the way we grew up, right? Really think about it. You have so many things that you have access to that can give you that instant gratification, that quick success, right? Whether it's video games, whether it's, you're bored, you open up TikTok, you find something to laugh at, now you're not bored anymore, right? You have got that instant gratification, right? You're hungry, you go in the fridge, you got a lot of food to eat in the pantry, in the fridge, because, you live in a household where you're very abundant in those things, right? Or whatever, right? Instant gratification, right? There's so many things we can get instantly in life, especially in this generation, that when we actually have to work for something, it's very, very difficult to actually do so. Unless you have been able to successfully look in the mirror and be like, yo, you need to work for this. Keep it real. Like, keep it very blunt. You're a nobody. You got to work like everybody else, right? If you really want to get to a certain level, you're going to have to grind, right? It ain't about him. It ain't about her. You're going to have to grind. You're going to have to face that adversity by yourself. At least in my household or the way I grew up, that's the way it is, right? If you want something bad enough, you got to go get it. And nobody cares about a sob story. Everybody only cares when you're successful. And then eventually, through all the adversity you go through, in business and relationships and, whatever it is, all the adversity you go through, I feel like personally, if you ever feel like you're stuck in a certain situation, I feel like that situation is only molding you into who you are supposed to be able to one day get past whatever that adversity is, whatever that wall is that's holding you back from whatever level that you're trying to get to, right? In stocks, if you're at a certain level, you may need to be just like, you know what, I'm stuck here. What do I need to do? Or who do I need to be to get up here, right? Or if you're if you're somebody who in business, I'm stuck here. What do I need to accomplish? Who do I need to be? Who do I need to become to get to level 10, 11, 12, right? Because I feel like, you have to be a certain person to ultimately actually get the things you want in life. And I believe that, God does not give you anything that you're not deserving of. God is very rewarding. God will give you things you couldn't have imagined. You asked me a couple years ago if I would be in this position, and I wouldn't have believed you, right? But I'm here now, and that's all glory to God. But I also believe, right? Even though I see myself in that Lambo. I see myself in that Rolls Royce. I see myself giving my family all these things, giving back to the community, buying the big house, getting, going on vacation, private jets. Like, I see that, right? I envision that. I dream about that kind of stuff. But I also have to understand, or I have to look at myself and be like, yo, the person you are right now, is this the person that you think the Lord is going to reward with that kind of luxury, right? Or that kind of opportunity? Do you really think, like, who do I need to become to be able to receive those things, right? And so that's what I'm working towards every day, because I know those things will happen, and those things are waiting for me. But I have to focus on becoming the person that I'm supposed to become before that stuff can even, be at my foot. You know what I mean? So that's all I got, man, for this episode. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully this was a good one. Hopefully some of you guys were able to relate with this. Whether it's any of these self-sabotaging, actions, right? Doing too many things, not consistent, comparing stories without that perspective that we talked about earlier, feeling entitled to quick success, not wanting or wanting to expedite the process of growth, and not wanting to become the person that you need to become to eventually get all the things you want out of life, right? So, whether you can relate to any of that or not, I would just encourage everybody to just look in the mirror, man, every night before you go to sleep. Look in the mirror, really see if you're happy with what you see in the mirror, not just physically, but really look into your mind too. What's your mental approach? How hard do you work? How do you respond to adversity? You feel entitled? You want things to be given to you? Or are you going to suit up and then attack every day like you got something to take from life? All right. So appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode.